So now that we talked about how to go about building loadouts and getting the materials, mods, and exotics you need to make a loadout, I thought I'd start with my first build video today. Being my first Armor 2.0 build, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm calling this one Assassin's Vow. So before we go in depth with each component of the build, let's talk about our build goals, the objective of the build, and what it's meant to do. The key components of the build are Gunslinger, Way of the Sharpshooter, Assassin's Cowl, and Eriana's Vow. So this build is going to utilize the Eriana's Vow to put in high DPS not only for your team, but high DPS shots to enable quick follow-up throwing knife kills in close or mid-range. An Eriana's Vow body shot and a throwing knife will result in a kill. In the event that you don't have the buff active though, on your first shot of Eriana's Vow, you might need to go for a throwing knife headshot or a headshot on the Eriana's Vow. With this loadout, throwing knife kills recover half of your health instantly and grant invisibility that you can use to get off the radar and play around or behind enemies without them aware of it while you're on the move. Precision knife kills on Way of the Sharpshooter provide a chunk of super energy and reset your throwing knife to continue getting throwing knife kills. So utilizing Eriana's Vow to get those throwing knives are going to lead you to your super, and with your super you can create orbs off of your precision golden gun kills and even shut down other supers in just a headshot because you're using a Way of the Sharpshooter's increased damage. And if you're really cheeky, you can still throw a knife in your super, so you can actually go invisible while you're in golden gun, and if you're really cheeky, you can go for a headshot with that throwing knife, which will replenish some of your super duration. So the essential loop of this build is to go Vow body shot into throwing knife precision kill, get to your throwing knife back, go invis, get your health back, leads up to your super, pop super, create orbs, and repeat. So now let's break down the complete details and complete build. So of course, like I said, our subclass is going to be Gunslinger, Way of the Sharpshooter, and the key points of the subclass is, like I said, precision throwing knife kills give you that chunk of super energy and refund your knife. Headshots, though, with practice make perfect, does decrease your super cooldown as a whole as well. So you have a lot of avenues to getting your golden gun 3-shooter really quickly. And of course, when you're in your 3-shooter, you get golden gun headshots and they make more orbs and one-shot other supers, so you have like a shutdown super kind of element to that as well. And finally, we'll be using Gambler's Dodge so that if you do miss a knife or you don't get a headshot, we can dodge near an enemy and get our knife charge back. In terms of our weapons, for my primary, I chose to use a Rampage Austringer, but this can be subbed out for another Rampage weapon or even an SMG within TFP, essentially a primary with a lethality perk in the event that you can actually put in a high DPS shot with the Vow, swap to your primary and clean it up to activate your lethality perk and continue on from there. Of course, we'll be using Eriana's Vow as I mentioned, so this gives you that high damage output for throwing knife cleanups and cleaning up weak targets in one shot, and even just supporting your team by putting in big damage numbers. Your heavy weapon doesn't really matter, you can use pretty much anything. I used a machine gun, but I do also recommend a better choice being a grenade launcher to combat shotgunners potentially. I didn't get to mention as well, another way to play around shotgunners or in close range is a body shot of Eriana's Vow and a melee will kill. And because of Assassin's Cowl, you're going to get that same invisibility and health regeneration that you would off of a throwing knife because it's a basic melee. For our armor, things are going to get obviously more in depth. We're going to talk about our priority stats first. For me, this was recovery and strength, and otherwise mobility. So I was using tier 10 recovery, tier 7 strength, and tier 4 mobility in my build. Recovery, in my opinion, is the most important stat. It allows you to get back into the engagement quicker, and this is especially useful when using a high DPS weapon like Eriana's Vow. Tier 10 recovery begins health regen at roughly 2 seconds after taking damage and reaches full health approximately 6 seconds after taking damage. Tier 7 strength gives us a 45-second cooldown on our throwing knife, which we want at our disposal as often as possible, but without investing too many resources. I thought 45 seconds was reasonable, especially with the perks that will supplement it further that I'm going to mention in a moment. Finally, mobility at tier 4 gives us a bit of mobility without feeling too sluggish. Mobility isn't too much of a priority to me, but I still don't want to feel too slow, and some people might have more of a priority for mobility, so you can adjust your preferences in these stats accordingly. So for my helmet, of course, I'm using Assassin's Cowl and a recovery mod with hand cannon targeting. So as I've said a few times, we get the health recovery and invisibility on throwing knife and melee kills with Assassin's Cowl, and we're using hand cannon targeting for more consistency with Eriana's Vow. On our arms, we're using a strength mod with enhanced momentum transfer and enhanced hand cannon loader. So I chose momentum transfer to supplement regaining our knife ability at all times. If we deal damage with our grenade, we're going to get a good portion of our melee ability, so our throwing knife back. Of course, we also have hand cannon loader to help out the slow reload on Eriana's Vow. If you do happen to have it masterworked as I do, you do have auto loading holster, so maybe you can swap this perk out for something else, to be honest, but I'm assuming that most people don't have it masterworked yet and might still actually just want to use this perk regardless, as I do. On our chest piece, we're using a strength mod with unflinching hand cannon aim and hand cannon reserves. We're using unflinching hand cannon aim for better consistency, of course, with Eriana's Vow, especially since it has a higher zoom and a scope. We want to minimize on the amount of flinch we're going to take because we need to be landing our shots with a low rate of fire. In addition to that, we need to be landing our shots. Very important, so unflinching hand cannon aim is a necessity. I know hand cannon reserves might seem like an odd choice, but it's actually really good with Eriana's Vow because it allows you to spawn with more ammo in Eriana's Vow. It actually gives you 5 shots off spawn, which is really good. On our boots, we're using a recovery mod and hand cannon scavenger with traction. Hand Cannon Scavenger, of course, works with Eriana's Vow, so we can get more ammo for Eriana's Vow from each special brick pickup, and Traction is a preferred perk for me as I play on controller and prefer a tighter turn radius. But it also provides an invisible boost to mobility that's not reflected in the stat breakdown, so if you are on M&K, this still is applicable to you, or if you just want mobility without having to invest into it, this is still a good perk, but you can replace this if you would like for something like a dexterity perk. Finally, on our class item, we're using a recovery mod with hands-on and distribution. With hands-on, throwing knife kills, and of course melee kills in general, grant more super energy, but this does still stack with the bonus of precision knife kills, so you're getting a lot of super energy with hands-on and precision knife kills, which of course again is the objective of the build. It really contributes to that loop of using Eriana's Vow, getting precision knife kills, going invisible, regaining health, and supering as soon as possible. So that's the complete build. I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's incredibly satisfying to use. I hope you guys like it, and I hope you enjoy it if you try to use it yourselves. Thank you guys so much as always for watching the video. If you'd like to see more content from me like this, check me out on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/Drewskys. Link is in the description. Anyways, since I have a good amount of gameplay on this build, I'm just gonna let the gameplay roll, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
To line up fast. Double down. 3 opponents down. Zone B, Captain. You have advantage. Keep this up and the battle is yours. Zone C lost. I want more, Guardian. Zone A captured. You have zone advantage. Fire team that fights together stays together. Zone C captured. That's a power play. You took them, now hold them. The route is on! Finish it! Zone C lost. nothing. Zone A lost.